Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. Welcome to Albury in the Surrey Hills. Now, as I've got a session of 10 by 2 minute hill reps to do, I thought it was a good place to come. It's a bit of fading light, but I got a nice new pink top on from Pro Direct. Unfortunately, I had to pay for it myself, not one of these sort of freebies, unfortunately, but there we go. I thought it'd go well with my pink Endorphin Pro 3. So what I've got to do today is we've got these 10 by 2 minutes. I thought I would do the first 5 in Streakflies, a bit of a forgotten shoe in a way. I did a good session in them the other day and I've got a track race coming up, so I thought it'd be quite a handy sort of shoe, sort of quite a low to the ground feeling, quite a low weight, quite similar to a Dragonfly in a way, almost like a road version of it. So I thought that'd be a good sort of shoe to actually get myself used to that low ground feeling. I did a 5k if you saw my video last week, that went pretty well, but I'm hoping I can run sort of a bit better than 10k as I've been training for that one. So these sessions are all part of that. So after the 10 by 2 minutes, I've also got a couple of 30-second sprints as well, so I need to find a bit of a flat bit. I think for a bit of a shoe test, I'll do 5 in the Streakfly of the hill reps, and I'll change over to the Endorphin Pro 3s for the next 5 and see if they feel any better. They'll be slightly heavier, but they'll be more cushioned, won't they? So it'll be interesting to see what the difference is. So I thought I'd try my hill reps on this road here called Blackheath Lane. It says unsuitable for motor vehicles. I think I'll just do a jog up there to make sure that it actually is 2 minutes of ascent. And I've got a little cat waiting to see how I'm going as well. So the cat's still here wondering what I'm up to. I think having checked out the hill, it gets really steep quite quickly up that hill. So I think what I'll do is I'll start from the main road, which is slightly uphill, and then I'll use this as almost like a run-in for about 30 seconds. Then it should be a nice little 2 minutes. Okay, 2 down. It really does get quite steep at the very top there. Maybe I'll take the camera up and show you on this next one. I might actually divert back onto the road because I think it's just a bit too steep for what I'm meant to be doing. Which is like a good effort, but I feel like we're sort of fighting the hill at the end. So maybe if we go that way, cat's now gone, that might be a better 2 minute interval. Let's just check the next one on that one. I'll leave my camera here. Okay, 4 down, those row ones, that's a bit better. It probably is quite a long way back to where you start from, so I'm getting more recovery than I'm running. But that's not even a bad thing. Right, I think I'll do one more hit up the steep hill, then we'll switch into the Endorphin Pro 3s for the last 5. Yeah, the Streakflies are feeling quite nice actually. I think I'm getting used to this lower stack. Also having weared the Pegasus Turbo Next Nature, which also feel quite low. In fact, the turbos feel quite similar to the Streakfly, just a sort of beefed up version of it, and not quite as soft because you've got basically the raw ZoomX in the Streakflies right under your feet. So they do feel low to the ground, but equally you feel like you've got a nice bit of sponge under there. And I think ideal for hill reps, especially in shoes in my size, because they're only about 220 grams, these ones, and that's only just a bit more than my Dragonfly spikes, which is just under 200. So I think uphill that makes all the difference, and they're nice and flexible, so you can get a nice little toe off as well, which is also very important when you're running uphill. Right, one more of this hill rep and we'll change shoes. Okay, the 5th one done. I need my little light mod to light my way. Okay, first one done in the Endorphin Pro 3s. You're instantly going from the Streakfly. Notice the stack, notice the extra weight, which is kind of bizarre because the Pro 3s are one of the lightest carbon races out. They're only slightly more than X%. I'll put the weights up, but I've got the exact weight. But yeah, it doesn't feel the road at all, but you certainly feel that going uphill. You can just feel that. It's about sort of 40 extra grams, I would say. Not so much, but and also with the ground feel, you like don't get that sort of reception from the road that you do in the Streakflies. Right. Just got a dog walker going past me. It's a bit dark down this bit, but it's a bit lighter when we get back out of the trees. So maybe a good test of the GPS as well in the 40955. Right, 4 more to go. I think I'll do one more up the hill and I'll divert to the road. In case anyone is wondering, no sign of the cat. Okay, 7 down. 3 more to go. It seems like a long session because the rest is so long. So yeah, that was all right. But as I said, the Endorphin Pro 3s just feel that stuck height. Not in a bad way, because they are a marathon shoe really, aren't they? But for 2 minute hill reps, maybe it's a choice of horses for courses on shoes. I think the Streakfly, definitely a lot better choice. Just feel also with my track race coming up, much more relevant. But yeah, these are doing fine. Right, we'll divert to the road now for this 8th, 9th one, and probably the 10th one as well, because it is getting a bit dark now. I've still got those 30-second sprints to do as well. I'll keep those in the Endorphin Pro 3, because I don't really want to change shoes again. I think I'll prove the purpose. Not really worrying about times on this session at all, really. Just sort of just a good hard workout up the hill. 20 minutes of hard effort. Maybe it's better on sort of like a circuit where you can literally almost roll back to the start again. Because I don't think like taking 3 or 4 minutes rest in a 2-minute effort is quite what you want, because that just seems like it's sort of suggesting you should be doing them sort of flat out, which I don't think is ever quite wise in a session of this sort of length, as it were. Right, 8th one to come then. Okay, it's a session proper done. I've done over 7 miles actually. Surprisingly how many miles you cover actually, with those sort of long warm downs as well. So yeah, the old legs were sort of getting pretty tired there. You can sort of see the benefit of that session when you do more and more and more, because even with the long rests, that sort of gradual uphill for 2 minutes really saps the legs. So that last 30 seconds, you're feeling able to work really hard. Speaking of 30 seconds, I've got these now 5 by 30 seconds. It's a bit dark, but I found the top of this sort of road loop here is a bit flatter. So I think I'll do that and then we'll call it a day. Okay, 5 little 30-second sprints done, not too bad. So do a little cool down now and back to the car. I might have a look at the data later when it's a bit lighter indoors. Okay, see you later then. Hi, so I won't do a spreadsheet this time, just look at the data on Garmin Connect here, which shows it quite well. So all these little spikes here are the hill reps. The first one was just that tryout up the hill to see where I was going. So I've started back here at the river and then it gradually rose up, sort of part there. That was the main road. And then the steeper one up Blackheath Lane is this one there. You can see the GPS did very well through the trees. And the shallower one was the one up past the church and the War Memorial, which was 2.3% compared to 4.1% up Blackheath Lane. So the first one here and the second one were up Blackheath Lane, and then the third and the fourth were a bit shallower on Church Lane, and then the fifth one back here was up the hill again on Blackheath Lane. So they were all in the Streakfly, and then we went into 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 were all in the Endorphin Pro 3. First 2 were up Blackheath Lane, and these 3 shallower ones were up Church Lane. So I think if you just look at these spikes here on the heart rate, all fairly similar. The actual times are all fairly similar as well. So I think this wasn't really any performance difference in it. It just felt like it when I had the Streakflies in, I was getting a bit more ground connection. It felt it was just sort of like more natural to sort of spring up the hill with a lower stack. But actually when I put the Endorphin Pro 3s on, although they were heavier and less ground feel, perhaps I was slightly more difficult actually finding my way when the ground was a bit rough up Blackheath Lane. It was a bit sandy under the foot. It was tarmac, but a few potholes, whereas Church Lane was quite a good surface. So yeah, I think in these sort of things, often the perception is different to the reality. It's interesting here with the power that uphill, what was I getting over 500 with his Garmin power? When I was doing these sprints at the end, we're at about low 5-minute pace. They're actually pretty much similar power, so it's quite a good test of how power works. Now if you go scroll down to the actual times here, so these first ones when I was going up this steep hill Blackheath Lane, I was only barely getting under 7-minute mile pace, more like 6:30s when I was going up Church Lane. But if you look very closely, there's very little in performance difference between the two shoes. As you might expect, heart rate got a bit higher towards the end, but not really much in it. Quite a long rest in these, of course, because it took me a while to get back down the hill. So I was actually resting for 3 or 4 minutes, and that 5-minute one there when I changed shoes. So yeah, interesting little test. Good to get the Streakflies out again. I think the benefit for me is that, as I said, that you just have that lower to the ground feeling that is sort of quite nice when you've got track races coming up. But I think for most people, if you don't have Streakflies, it's not really the end of the world. I think any shoe that you like is good for this sort of interval test. I saw a comment from Ed Bud today that do you really need all these shoes? I think Kilian Jornet has tried to do that by trying to get one trail shoe in his new trail shoe company. So I'm interested to see how that shoe comes out and we get our hands on that one. But yeah, so I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe and all that, and see you in the next one then. Bye.